Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the World Radio Network. Of course, we are broadcasting. You're going to see some kids walking behind me as the Nebraska State FFA convention is underway. Brad Kooima is joining us once again for Cattle Call. Kooima Kooima Varilek out of Sioux Center, Iowa. We've got a lot to unpack in this week's episode, and everybody can guess it follows four simple letters, HPAI. Unfortunately, it seems to have taken a little bit of a hold on this market trade. We talk about it throughout the day, and we all know about the new, as of this recording, the state of Ohio. But we're going to dive into really what's going on in these markets. We'll look at the chasing the rumors, what we've got for beef demand from a consumer perspective, because let's admit it, it is now time for grilling season. So, Brad, let's kind of start off. There's a lot of rumors out there. You and I were just talking about one of them involving the state of Nebraska. So, I mean, it's important that people have their facts straight, and we know it's kind of weighing in on this market trade.
I couldn't agree more. Well said. Thanks for having me on. I like the letters FFA. I have a lot more fun to talk about that wonderful organization than these other ones, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
Good for you that you're always behind supporting that deal. One of the great things, I believe, for a young person. Yeah, this is such a broad issue. You know, it speaks to the whole problem of where you get your news from. And the news sources, it seems like some at least would rather take you to the mountaintop and push you over the edge with some hysterical version of what the truth is. And we fight through that every morning here, every day. Yesterday, I heard that somebody died from it. That was the deal yesterday, right? A person that had actually jumped somehow from this animal to this person. And so, yeah, you do much calling. Yeah, it turns out it happened in Vietnam, and has happened for the last, documented for the last 21 years that they've had like 60. Don't forget, wet market. They eat stuff that we wouldn't consider eating. And, I don't know, so yes, this job, unfortunately, has lately been a little bit of trying to tamp back some of this wild stuff. The problem is that I'm also realistic to know how the market works here, and the cattle are always in the front row. We've talked about this. Uncertainty is bearish. Yeah, okay, all of that. And I would love to say that, right? You know what? We're going to put this issue to bed, and we won't have to talk about it. But more than likely, tomorrow there'll be another state that tests positive, or there'll be some other story or some other version of some so-called scientist. This morning sat in on a conference call, and seemed very wise to me, a veterinarian that gave a very calming that we shouldn't, and that's been the USDA's and basically most of the professional response, that this isn't a threat to the general population and shouldn't be viewed as one. But market acts better today, and we've actually had a pretty good cash market this week, considering an $11 break in futures. This isn't actually too bad. Cash cattle traded a couple three lower. We got 187 to 188 here so far. Waiting on south to see what they're going to trade at.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. And you talk about moving forward, beef demand wise. We are getting ready for prime. Mother's Day is just around the corner. Let's do some prime grilling season. Put these, like you said, rumors behind us, and really focus on continuing to consume a lot of beef as we move.
We're just a tick early on what I expect to be another decent, demand push as we get to warmer weather. And, I tell people, mark it on your calendar 2 to 3 weeks before Mother's Day. That's when you'll get an uptick in the middle meats. I don't expect it to be any different this year. So maybe we got a couple more weeks of sloshing around here a little bit. The beef lately, the movement in the beef has been disappointing because considering we've had such light kill. But it's also very seasonal for the beef to break this time of year. So you've got, some issues here. I do think people argue with me that they're worried that somehow this demand thing stopped. We're 2 days removed from all-time highs in the stock market. I don't know. To me, I don't see any signs that suddenly we flipped a switch and we've hurt the demand any more than we normally would have done seasonally anyway. I look for it to pick up as we move toward the 1st of May.
So how are our cattle weights at this point? We've moved past some of the crazy weather that we've had, but are we doing okay, or we got a little heavy in some areas?
I've got good news and I've got bad news.
Go figure.
Yeah. The weight news is not supportive. I
Okay.
can't spin it. It is what it is. The big weights come out on Thursdays. We switched a day here. Usually we're on Wednesdays, so we get the comprehensive data here that includes all the weights, the formulas, the cash, the contracted. That comes out on Thursdays, even though it's 13 days old when we get it. The steer and heifer carcass weights, that's what I look at. There's other people look at differently, but I look at the steer and heifer carcass weight. That seems to be, in my opinion, maybe the most accurate. We're 893 up a pound from last week or the week prior, which was 892, but 867 is what it was a year ago. 867, and now it's 893. And I think, you mentioned it briefly. The weather is probably, I think, the main thing. But there is certainly an influence as well coming from these kill cuts that the Packers done. Everybody's done their round of cooler cleanouts, which they have to by law. There was a stretch there where there was a couple outfits only killing 4 days a week, not on Friday for a while. So they've done their part too to probably back up a few cattle. So we've got less cattle, but they weigh more. And that's the way the market seems to kind of function here to fill in this hole that we've had.
Brad, it seems like this last couple of weeks, we just can't do really any serious cash trade until Thursday hits us. And here we are. You and I are doing this on a Thursday, and you got a few nibbles out there. But again, it's a lot of wait and see.
Usually, of course, which side I'm on. I'm on the feedlot side, right?
Yep.
Usually, the longer it takes in the week, the better it is for us, for the producer. Packer can be in denial all week long that I can act like I don't need cattle. But his next step is too to fill some of these needs that he's going to have for meat, forward here too into that after May 1 time frame. So I would think that they'd blink today or tomorrow. It's going to be lower. I mean, the South, I'm going to guess, is going to be 184 to 185. But, in relative terms, April cattle 181 and a quarter compared to 185 cash, the futures are still a big discount. So I would say that that's supportive until you hear the next bird flu story, I guess.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for joining us this week, Brad.
Of course. Thanks.
So how do we get a hold of you beyond today on the screen?
On the screen, try us at kkvtrading.com or 712-722-0023.
All right. That's been this week's Cattle Call. Quick reminder, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. And that's the Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.